I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And she's another great example of people using their talents, their beauty, their research to go out and reach millions of people every week. And she's got a bunch of initiatives going out there to target different stores, different fast food places, you name it, and get them to go organic and to get stores to go organic. And she's having a huge, huge effect. So it's great to have the Food Babe on with us to talk about some of these initiatives and some of the big news that's taking place. Russia's looking right now at completely banning all GMO, where they have pesticides that grow naturally in the crop. And by naturally, I mean they engineer it where it grows in the crop itself so bugs can't eat it, but then we can supposedly eat it. Big Pharma and Big Agra have obviously been lobbying so that we don't have labeling to know stuff like that is going on. So great to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Alex.
You bet. So where do we start? I mean, tell us about your show, what you're doing, and some of the big initiatives. Or let's say you're talking to new people that aren't worried about food, don't know what's going on. Most of our audience does, but if you had 5 minutes to warn somebody about what's going on and let them understand what's happening.
Well, there's been a mass deception of the food industry. The entire reason the food industry has been able to make millions and millions and millions of dollars and make more than was ever thought possible is because they are creating food in a laboratory that makes us either addicted to it, makes us reliant upon it, or is encouraging us through marketing tactics to thinking that we need that type of food. And the only food that we really do need is what comes naturally from the earth, that's grown by heirloom seeds, not genetically engineered in a laboratory, not made in a factory or a plant. And but we need to be eating plants. And I think the one thing that really upsets me and that really energizes a lot of people is understanding what's in ingredients. And when you look at the back of the package, and if you can't pronounce it, and if you can't even spell it, is it something that you really need to be eating? And when I tell people about, for example, an ingredient called azodicarbonamide that I just launched a petition today on foodbabe.com/subway, where this ingredient is a foamed plastic. It's used in yoga mat, in shoe soles, in synthetic leather. And it is a chemical, when you breathe it in, it causes asthmatic reaction. And this is a chemical that Subway bread is using. Subway sandwiches, all of their rolls, their deli-style rolls, their 9-grain wheat bun, their oats, their honey oat, their Italian, their Monterey cheddar, all of those different ones have this chemical in it here in the United States, but not anywhere else across the globe. Not in the UK, not in Europe, not in Australia, not in Singapore. Actually, if you get caught using this ingredient in Singapore, you get put in prison, you get fined $450,000 because this chemical is very dangerous to deal with. But the food manufacturers here in the United States are allowed to use this ingredient because the FDA is asleep at the wheel, and the people running our food system are not everyday citizens like me and you, Alex. They are people who are out to make money, and those are the people, the big companies, the Frito-Lay, the PepsiCo, the Coca-Colas, the Subways out there are what is creating the discourse in this country. And I can't tell you, but one really thing that really energized me, and I apologize for the beeping. I'm going to turn
That's okay. Again, Vani Hari, the Food Babe, is our guest here. And again, it's come out that all the big fast food chains use the silicone fluffer in their chicken McNuggets, you name it. I mean, and this is illegal everywhere. When China was executing people over melamine 5 years ago, Associated Press ran the headline, I saw it in the Washington Post, that, well, FDA says melamine's fine for kids' kidneys. So they execute you in China for it. Here, they just wave a magic wand and say it's fine, because this is being done on purpose. There's a reason we lead the world in cancer. But I mean, regardless, it's there, it's going on. No one else allows this but us.
That's correct. And, and when I talk about, who's running the food system in America, how it's really these corporations, you can even see the influence they're having when you look at just a week ago, where the First Lady of the United States has endorsed Subway sandwiches as safe for kids, saying it has the highest nutritional standards. Something that's made with bread that is completely not even whole. It's made of all these different chemicals, including that chemical dicarbonamide, which is very dangerous. And, you have to realize that these corporations have a strong hold on our leaders who are making the decisions, who are preventing GMO labeling and preventing the elimination of these certain chemicals in our food. And they're really rising up against us in their own best interests and against our interest of being healthy and safe and clean and be able to live a really wonderful life. And I think that is what people need to realize, is that in order to eat food in this country, you really have to take control of your food back. You have to make it at home. You have to know where it comes from. You have to understand the ingredients on the label. You have to make sure it hasn't been sprayed with pesticides, that it hasn't made in the laboratory, and that, it's something that you can actually trust to put in your body that has high nutrition.
And you hit the key here with your research. If you go back to the 20s, when there wasn't any regulation, Big Pharma and, of course, Big Oil had all these extra derivatives of oil, distillates as they call them, that they could turn into highly addictive substances. Most poisons are actually addicting. In fact, one of the most common addictions in England, if you go back over 100 years ago, was arsenic. But it's obviously very, very toxic and naturally occurring poison. But it also has an amphetamine-type effect. And so they learned to make all these addictive chemicals that would make you hungry right away, make you also feel bad till you got more. That's addictive. And when you look at all the hundreds of ingredients, I mean, I can't find children's candy, gum, now it's yogurt. It's over 10,000 items that doesn't have aspartame. But since people know what aspartame is, now they've come out with a bunch of molecules that are almost the same, but are in some cases even worse. And it's literally in everything. It's in potato chips now. It is just invading, and it's being used for social control. And then these very same companies lobby to make sure that we can't even have it labeled that something's GMO. So this is really Big Pharma for 90 years has been, I mean, take the Japanese military, as you know, but listeners may not know this. The Japanese military in World War I and in the war with the Russians after that couldn't get the Japanese, who were big foodies, to eat the canned food. So they found MSG, a toxic salt, that would make them eat it and want to eat more. Just like they know that aspartame gives you diabetes and makes you fatter and makes you want to drink more. That's all admitted now. Dr. Blaylock said it 20 years ago. Now it's in the news this year and last year. So I'm sorry to be ranting. The point is, they know what they're doing. It's not an accident that they're doing this. Go ahead.
No, it's definitely not an accident. And, even the dairy industry has tried to lobby the FDA to allow aspartame and hidden artificial sweeteners in milk for kids. I mean, to think that they're lobbying them for these type of things, if it wasn't for the uproar of the consumers, people like me and you who talk about these issues, then they probably could have snuck this in. So from a consumer standpoint, it's really important for all the listeners to understand that you have a choice of what you put in your body and you eat every single day. And every single time you decide to put something in your mouth, that is a decision. That is a vote. That vote is more powerful than, I believe, even the power of the people we elect to put in office, because that money that we spend is the money that we are going to give to either the good guys or the bad guys.
Well, I mean, I've got Cass Sunstein's book over there on the shelf and about 50 others, let's not exaggerate, more like 100, where they talk about in the last 30, 40 years putting chemicals in food to control us. And so none of this is a secret for those of us that are informed. It's just the general public has grown up in this. And, hey, your cancer is up multi-thousand percentage points. It's only increasing, folks. We need to get off the... I mean, now that I don't eat fast food, but every 5 years... I mean, I made it when I'm on the road and totally desperate, but I'll go hungry now instead of that, or go to a gas station and eat salted peanuts. I literally get ill. But people that are on it all the time aren't addicted.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The people who think that they've been eating fast food and it's not doing anything to their body and they don't feel bad, or they're like, I've been eating it for 10 years. There's nothing wrong with me. My acupuncturist told me this really great analogy. He said, when you have a pool of really dirty water and you put something dirty in it, you're not going to be able to identify it. You're not going to be able to see it. You're not going to be able to feel it. You're not going to be able to know it. But if you take a really clean body of water and you put something dirty in it, you recognize it right away. And that's why, Alex, you have those symptoms of feeling really bad when you eat that food, because your body hasn't adapted. The body's so miraculous. It adapts to all these pain receptors and everything to help it survive. And really, there's all of these, I believe, zombies out there that are just surviving on this fast food, and their body's adapting. And eventually, what happens is it starts to break down. And that's when cancer and diabetes and heart disease and all of these different ailments, autoimmune disorders, Alzheimer's disease, all these things start to happen later on in life. But, we have a choice right now. We have a choice of whether we want to experience that or not. And if we take control of our health, we can feel amazing. We can climb huge mountains when we're older and do the things that we were supposed to do on this earth.
You should really take it personal. If you caught me in your refrigerator adding plastic emulsifiers that are linked to kidney failure and liver cancer and diabetes and pancreatic problems, just across the board, skin problems, brain tumors, the list goes on and on, the massive increases in the bladder cancer. If you caught me sprinkling that on your food, if I caught somebody in my house putting poison in my food, I would probably kill them with my bare hands. Because I'm a weirdo. I'm like an old-fashioned caveman. I catch you trying to kill me sneakily and slowly. That's how women have a much lower crime rate of homicide, but when it comes to poisoning, most poisoning's by women. That's how women do it. Women sneak in, they poison you slowly with antifreeze or arsenic or whatever. And that's how the government kills us with soft kill and the big corporations. It's just a whole bunch of stuff they throw at us, sodium fluoride in the water, GMO, all these hundreds of chemicals, and then they sit there watching your kids. I was over at a friend's house, and I guess they thought that they had bought little orange juice bottles because it looks like it. And I said, Sunny Delight. And they said, yeah, it's orange juice. And I said, no, it's not. It's got 2% orange juice. Read the bottle on the back, and it's not that I'm some even health nut. That stuff's a chemical weapon. I'd have a hangover if I drank that. I mean, I drank some in college and literally got sick from it. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and its main ingredient is corn syrup with all the deadly stuff. And then the next one is a new aspartame derivative. So kids are drinking that all over the country. It'll make you go blind. And it's insane. It's insane, ladies and gentlemen. Going back to the food babe, this is a short segment, long segment coming up, but I mean, we need to take this personal, what they're doing to us, and realize, I mean, do you have any doubt that this is premeditated?
Well, the thing is I know this specific hypocrisy where American companies are selling us one set of ingredients here and another set overseas is definitely premeditated, because you know what? When they found out about these different ingredients like GMOs or azodicarbonamide or artificial food dyes or any of these substances you're talking about, and they took out in other countries, these food companies had to reformulate their products. And so they knew that they had to change their product to remove this chemical because there was some health issue associated with it. And instead of doing it here in the United States, they chose to continue to make the big money by selling us the really cheap, harmful chemicals that are made a lot of times by petroleum or plastics or whatever, or made in a laboratory. And that's really not fair. So yeah, that is.
But don't plastics have the electrolytes plants crave?
I'm sorry?
Don't plastics have the electrolytes plants crave?
I don't know.
I mean, you're not going to put, like, water out of the toilet on the plants, are you?
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is here is that there's a ton of chemicals in food, and we have an obligation to really understand what those chemicals are. And once you relate it the way you're relating it, Alex, that these things are related to kidney failure and bladder cancer and liver disease and, you know, all of these things, I think it really wakes people up, and people need to hear this message. You know, it's not an alarmist what we're saying here isn't alarmist. This is really happening. And it happened in my own body, you know, when I was sick. And that's what woke me up. And I really want to reach people before they get on that hospital bed and almost die like I did.
Well, if folks can't see you on prisonplanet.tv or over InfoWars right now, you look just the image of health and vitality. And it's the same thing with Mike Adams, the health ranger. I'm sure you know of his good work.
Yeah.
You know, he said he was fat and unhealthy and had all high blood pressure, you name it. I think he said a bunch of things until he got healthy, and then he rejuvenated. And I've slowly gotten healthy again, and, you know, look a lot better. I don't look that great, but I'm getting there. And it's just incredible once you totally cut all this out of your diet, what it does.
No, it's really miraculous. You know, my entire life, I had eczema all over my face, in my joints, on my legs. I had asthma. I was on like 6 to 8 prescription drugs, depending upon the season, in my 20s. And to think that I feel a gajillion times better now, 10 years later, and have no prescription drugs, absolutely nothing, not even anything out over the counter anymore. I mean, that's a testament to what food really can do to your body and completely heal you.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
We are joined here by the Food Babe and the great work she's doing, foodbabe.com. And she did not get my comment earlier. We were talking about how they're putting plastic in most of the breads that are at fast food that in other countries you go to prison for because it kills people long term. Well, not even long term. It can make your kidneys fail real quick. Wonder why everybody's kidneys are failing. It doesn't even drink. And she was bringing that up. So I thought I would just show from Idiocracy, Mike Judge's film, come true. As Mike said, you know, he thought back in 2007 when this came out that it would take 200 years to get like this and not 5 years, 6 years. But here we are. And, you know, it's like it's weird to go, yeah, it's grass-fed beef. People go, that's kind of weird. That's like saying water, you know, fed plants or something instead of Brondo, a.k.a. Gatorade. It just shows how crazy this is. They go, well, George Washington Carver, why he you know, spliced different forms of squash or different peanuts. That's normal. The ancients always did that. And sometimes they splice plants and it didn't go well. We're talking about insect genes, bacteria, viruses, pharmacological crops, stuff that kills bugs when they eat it. A lot of these Monsanto, I've almost said crops, you've got to plant a, quote, quote, refuge crop for the bugs, or it kills all the bugs that are involved, like the honeybees, and then they will eat that and not go over to the Monsanto crop. In fact, I saw a Washington Post headline 2 years ago that we made a big deal about on there because it was a big deal. It was like, farmers not following GMO planting rules and planting refuge crops for the plants and animals, and it's killing the plants and animals. It's only supposed to kill you. But it's got the electrolytes plants crave. So, Ms. Hari, what's your take on that?
Well, you know, the thing that really really energizes me around why to avoid GMOs and why I don't choose any type of, high yield GMO cropped like corn or soy or canola, zucchini or papaya or soybean is because, of the mere fact that they're injecting a pesticide within the seed, a pesticide, a chemical, a poison inside a seed so that when a bug eats it, their stomach explodes. And I can't even imagine what happens to my stomach or what in the insides of me when I eat this.
And now we see leaky gut, Crohn's, irritable bowel, all of these disorders going straight up like a rocket. But it doesn't matter because Brondo's got what plants crave, electrolytes. I ain't never seen no plant grow out of a toilet.
I haven't either.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.